Hi, this is Rick Sovitzky from Chortek. I'm going to talk about using JobBoss2 and QuickBooks Online together today and focusing on customers and invoicing. But first, why bother? Well, these two systems work really well together. And when you combine QBO with JobBoss, you get the best of both worlds. Strong operational management with strong financial management. And you can also add additional tools that work alongside QBO for to build a very powerful system. It's also very easy to outsource your accounting function to a firm like Chortek when QBO is part of your overall system. I'm going to give you a taste of using a tool called Power BI, which is used to analyze data pulled from multiple systems and looking at that data in different ways than you're probably used to seeing. In Power BI, we can combine QBO data for accounts receivable and revenue with current data for work in process and backlog out of JobBoss, and this is updated automatically in the background without me having to go and do anything. It's very easy also to, instead of having to run report after report, to use on-screen controls to change the data that we're actually looking at and analyzing. So in this case is the top 75% of aggregated customer concentration. And if I look at, say, my top one customer, the other graphs are going to update accordingly. Interesting here, it's the largest portion of my backlog. And when I click on my second biggest customer, pretty big difference. A lot of receivables, WIP and prior revenue, but notice a very small amount of the backlog. And you can do this interactive analysis of your data on the fly. You can look at on-time delivery and a heat map of the worst versus best on-time delivery. Look at your job margin over time, different time periods, and even down to the job level. So that's just a tiny, tiny taste of what you can do using Power BI. So let's move on and talk about when you're implementing QBO in conjunction with JobBoss2, some things to consider. Key thing is, how are you invoicing today? Another note to be aware of is how the emails themselves actually go out in QBO is different than in JobBoss. And because of this, there are some process changes. So anyone on your team that's doing these tasks today needs to be aware of these differences. One key important setup item here relates to how revenue is being generated and specifically posted to the general ledger, including QBO. So I've highlighted here product code. It's really, really important. If it's set to work code, probably should give us a ring. We can talk a little bit about that ramification. Additionally, there's a bunch of options in QBO. The key ones I've highlighted here are our recommendations related to customers and invoicing. Key thing here, this last one, is we're marking things paid in JobBoss as they're being exported to QBO so that they're not tracked in JobBoss anymore. And this simple diagram kind of illustrates that point. Most of the process is the same as it has been in the past when these two systems are working together. We can see that information is moving from JobBoss to QBO, but this last item here is grayed out, the customer payments. That's not done in JobBoss anymore, and instead it's being handled in QBO instead. And you do the receivables management and the reporting out of QBO instead of in JobBoss. Some gotchas. Customers and vendor IDs need to be unique. In JobBoss, they can be the same, but in QBO, they need to be separate. So just one kind of setup item to take care of as you do the initial conversion. And there can only be one customer contact and one customer address in QBO. You can have multiple in JobBoss, but there's only going to be one in QBO. And so when you consider that first-time data sync, that's something to be aware of. There's other matters to be consider when you add QBO. We'd love to talk to you about it. We help other manufacturers use these two systems, and we do a variety of services to help them get the most out of these two. So please do reach out, contact us. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks a lot. Bye.